Welcome back. This is Cheyenne Life. Debbie here in the old Victorian house in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and with my garden tour. This is part 2, and just absolutely gorgeous amount of growth. I just put this trellis in last week for the green beans, and already they have went all the way to the top. They're now overlapping the top and wrapping back onto the rope. As you can see here, it did not take even a day for these beans. Somehow they figure out that there's a trellis and they want to climb that trellis, and they so quickly move on to that trellis, even with the vines that I did not wrap around, which was a few of them was too short at the time. Anyway, sorry about that. A neighbor came by and she was telling me that her tomato plant had died off, and let me see if I can actually see it from here. This is in the apartment complex that is right in front of us, but her tomato plant died off. She was asking me some advice about it a couple days ago, and it was still pretty green at that time. It looks like it does have some tomatoes on it. It's kind of hard to see, but I had told her to put in some Job's organic and fertilizer, and then go ahead and just keep watering it like crazy, but looks like it died off anyway, and I really hate that for her. I might see if I have one of my extra tomato plants here that I could repot for her and see if she would like that, because I do have 3 extra tomato plants right there that I had put in last week, and they have really started taking off. It'll be a while before they have tomatoes, but those are the Sun Sugar gold tomatoes, which just everybody loves. And peas are looking amazing. The new peas that I had planted, the 2 extra rows in between the 3, are now coming up. Can't really see them as yet, but they are coming up. I think just about all of them are coming up in between these 2. And then all of my fennel that I had planted between my pepper plants, you can kind of see it there. Looks like little grass strands. All of the fennel came up, so I'll have to get in there and thin that out. Had a cucumber on this end come up. It's probably too late in the year for it to do anything, but I'm going to leave it and let it try to see if it can do anything. And that one between the tomatoes came up as well. And then I've got another cucumber plant out there on the end that came up between 2 tomatoes. I had initially planted cucumbers in between each one of the tomato plants, but there's just not enough sun exposure for them to really do much between tomatoes like that. Basil would have probably been better, but I have so much basil already. I have 9 different types in the garden as well as in containers that I don't need anymore. Everything is just looking amazing. Hi! That is the neighbor. Alright, and that was the neighbor. She stopped by and just found out that she is a seamstress. So awesome. Anyway, just keep on here with a little bit of the garden. I hate to keep putting garden tours like this, but I really enjoy watching garden tours myself when they come on YouTube. So I hope everybody enjoys that as well. And again, this is the part 2 because we're back. And sunflowers are looking amazing. I did go ahead and plant 2 more bunches of sunflowers here. And then I have another bunch over here. And they're still pretty small, just about 6-8 inches now, but they will catch up pretty quick. I only had these planted for about 2 weeks, and they're this big. So we'll have at least 4 bunches of sunflowers through here. They probably will not get as big as my sunflowers were last year because I got a very late start. I didn't really have a whole lot of room to be stuffing sunflowers in. And usually we have squirrels attack the sunflowers before they even get done blooming. So didn't really worry too much on that. Beets are looking good that were planted just a few days ago. They're all up and just growing like crazy. I did go ahead and loosen the soil around all of my new cabbage plants, and they are already starting to do their center curl to like they want to make cabbage heads, which, you know, that'll take a while, but just looking beautiful. Swiss chard really taking off. The Swiss chard is over in this middle section here. And I had forgotten that I had planted the bright lights Swiss chard, so it is both yellow, red, and orange. So it's looking really pretty. I'm not a fan of Swiss chards, but other people in my family are. And all of these white acorn squash right here in the front, looking fantastic. And then in the back, to be very honest, I'm not even sure what I planted anymore. I meant to get out here and put a tag on them. Totally forgot to put the tag, and I think it's Cocozelle. We'll find out in the end, I guess. And of course, all of those lovely cauliflower. I have 12 of them in here. Just looking fantastic. So anyway, my battery power on my phone is getting really low. I'll keep going as much as I can. Hope everyone can see everything. All right, it is getting darker out here. Tomatoes looking amazing. Just absolutely loving this clematis. Look at those beautiful, beautiful blooms. Just gorgeous. Let's see if we can really zoom in there. Look at that. Aren't they amazing? Just gorgeous. And then the lettuce there that I had planted in a strip in the back. You can kind of see it in there. Looking fantastic. And the potatoes and the corn and the carrots I just planted. Carrots are not up yet. They usually take anywhere from 7 to 14 days to come up, sometimes up to 21. But keeping it moist, hoping that they will start coming up. And I don't know if they will make it this year, but I went ahead and planted them. We're going to see, and if they don't, then they will overwinter. I've not had any issues with overwintering carrots. And I have put 3 more cabbage over here. You can see them there. And they have already tripled in size from what they were, because I just basically put them out as little tiny seedlings. The potatoes are about to finish blooming. These are the Kennebec and the Idaho, and then they will be ready to start thinking about letting the vines die off. On Kennebecs and Idahos, you want to let the vines completely die off before you start digging them, because that's what sets the skin so tough on them. And then we have all of the new radishes we planted through this entire section here, looking beautiful. And I think that I don't even remember which radishes these were that I planted. I think French breakfast and something else, but just looking absolutely fantastic. I've got some French breakfast radishes in the midst of all of those vines, and they are doing just as well as the ones that I showed you a moment ago. The watermelons are just going nuts. They are really spreading out some vines, so I'm hoping to get a watermelon this year. We'll see. Haven't so far. And acorn squash are completely massive. Let me stand back here and you can see just how big they are. They're just as tall as the corn, and the corn is approaching about 3 feet tall now. So absolutely massive plants. Sorry about that. I keep getting bitten by mosquitoes. And the Tahitian squash is running now, blooming, all that good stuff. We have had some of the tomato flea beetles biting on the leaves here as well, which I will have to start taking care of. I have not noticed any downy mildew, but I had it last year, so I would not be surprised. Now the white veins in that is not downy mildew. That is just some variations in the Tahitian squash leaves. I've seen the same thing on other videos of people growing this. And all of my beans are up that are in the 2 rows of the corn, looking fantastic, setting their runners as well. And I went ahead and wound some of the Tahitian squash in and amongst the corn, because it is a modified 3 sisters. And here is the lemon tree. As you can see, a few of the leaves had dropped off, and now I know why. It was setting branches where the leaves were. So we got all these little branches coming on where those leaves came off. So it is absolutely looking gorgeous, filling out now. And we've got a cucumber at the base of it that is just doing wonderfully as well, getting ready to set off and run. And strawberries, producing strawberries. Everything looking great over here. I have some lemon thyme in and amongst these flowers, just doing great. All of my thyme, standard thyme, is just amazing. I planted some more spinach in here. That's why you don't see anything in this container. This was the spinach that was harvested in the video yesterday. And my oregano, doing great. This is a different variety of oregano. And then the basil, it is just really taken off. All of my other tomatoes, I did go ahead and offer my neighbor a tomato plant because I told her these were started from my own seed for the most part. And unfortunately, she declined. She just said she didn't have the time. She's working 14-hour days as a seamstress. Just crazy. And she said she's going to be doing it for days on end. And all of my other container plants, that basil's really spreading out now. We have lots of the purple basil coming on. We did transplant some of the chamomile today that I had discovered coming up in some of my pots. So I told my daughter to come out here and gather up all that chamomile and get it planted in this pot. She did. And this strawberry plant's got more strawberries coming on. And all of my cantaloupe setting cantaloupe, and this straight 8 cucumber is setting cucumbers, looking absolutely beautiful. And we have our first bloom on the Mandevilla, I think. Anyway, absolutely beautiful, and it is red. It's actually really deep pink, but if for some reason on the camera it's showing up red. But this is the one that I got reduced price and brought it back to health because it looked terrible. And this sunflower in the pot that was the volunteer is getting ready to bloom. It's only about 3.5 feet tall. I think it's it came out of some bird seed. So I think this one's probably a black oil sunflower, and it just shortened it because it being in a pot. And this is the Minnesota midget cantaloupes. They are starting to bloom now, setting their runners. More cantaloupes just looking wonderful. My potted pepper plant just looking amazing, blooming as well. And everything is just looking fantastic. Now, of course, out here in the herb garden, we're having a little bit of a struggle with the banana squash. I don't think it's really going to do anything. I would be amazed if it does. And to me, it kind of acts more like a melon than a squash. So I'm kind of going to do some more research on those. First time I've ever tried to grow the banana squash here. Didn't have a whole lot of luck with the germination.